so out of it, man. Can you hit the record? Oh, you've hit the record button.
I did, yeah. Hey,
Jeff,
everybody.
it has been way too long, man.
It's been kind of a nightmare.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
So literally, you flew out here. We did Sleeping in the Light. We watched this movie, and then we've been trying to get things to work ever since then. And here we are.
Because I came home, because here's the thing. Not that you guys care about this, but I'm going to say it right now anyway. While I was at your place, we started construction here at Casa de Brent on a new master bathroom, which is still ongoing. Yeah. And what is this now, Jeff? Are we 3 weeks after?
Yeah, I think 3 weeks,
That is nuts. Like,
yeah.
Because we got, like, I came home and we recorded the Sleeping in Light episode, like the discussion episode. And then we did the season wrap up. Like, we were able to get those out.
We did an episode of Stargate.
We did an episode of Stargate. That's right. But the editing process, like my whole house has just been weird shambles. You've had a crap ton. I mean, this whole thing for you is just, I
had my own chrysalis, apparently.
I would just like to say on behalf of everyone out there, I got you, folks. Listen, stop, Jeff. This is not working.
I don't disagree at all. In fact, I think it's going to be fun now because we're going to go. We always talked about how my beard grows so fast.
Yeah.
We get to chart it. So I shaved this morning.
No, Jeff. Oh, here's what I need for the next, until we get to Babylon 5 for the second time. So you've got 15, 20 weeks.
Just don't even.
No.
Nothing.
No. Every episode, I want to see a different facial hairstyle. Like, cut it in a different, get the Fu Manchu going one day.
Right.
Get the mutton chops coming one day. Get just the soul patch rocking. The 90s goatee. We'll have it'll be like a calendar, like the 12 months of Jeff's facial hair.
All this stuff. That'll be fun. I'm just scared to death it's going to come back so white you won't even see it. But we'll see. We'll
there you
see.
go.
But there is one thing we did want to bring up for YouTube. Hi, YouTube. We have the reaction for In the Beginning ready to go, but we
recorded it 3 weeks ago.
We cut it up, got it all ready for YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube isn't liking it though.
No. It has been stuck in copyright hell. So that's actually the reason why, because we were going to get this out last week, but we delayed it because YouTube's not playing nice. They're still not playing nice. So we're going to get that out to you guys. Scouts honor. Is that it?
That's Cub Scouts. That's
Trekkie's honor.
Scouts. Yeah.
Scouts honor.
Yep.
May the odds be ever in your favor. In our favor. We are going to get it out to you as soon as we get the edit right and YouTube says go. But we can't delay this anymore. We'll go ahead and do this discussion part. Reaction video will come out, and hopefully the other movies are not going to be this.
Yeah.
We'll get whatever figured out on the backside. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Thank you for bringing that up, Jeff.
You're welcome. So we should get started. For anybody out there who's joining us for the first time, welcome. Hi. We're about to record a podcast. That's what's going to happen. You can catch that on all the audio places. You can watch it right here, whatever you want. But you get a little bit with us now. We get to hang out with you. That's the cool thing about being here on YouTube. YouTube's
Jeff,
show.
you go and shave your beard, and all of a sudden you think you can take my shtick.
Totally.
You can take my vote because Jeff's thinking, well, you weren't saying it, you dumbass. Anyway.
Yeah, I was just filling the spot. Hey, let's get started. I am excited. I made special music for this. So
you didn't tell me this.
Eager to hear your reaction. And for all of you watching, tell us what you think. My plan is to make a different open for each movie.
Oh, that's ambitious.
There's only 5 or 6 of them or whatever. So it's pretty ambitious.
But I don't know if we keep up at this pace, there might be 7 or 8.
I know by the time we get. You ready?
Let's go, man.
I'm
listening. I'm ready to hear this.
What do you want?
Tell me a story.
What do you know about a race called Minbari?
I've just been informed that our mid-range military bases at Beta Durrani and Proxima 3 have fallen to the Minbari bands.
See you in hell.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the first time, not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I am the one who was.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I am the one who will be.
And we're watching Babylon 5 for the first time for you, the one who is.
That's right. Jeff and I are two veteran Star Trek podcasters looking for the important messages that Babylon 5 is delivering in its own unique way.
That's right. We're looking for those Babylon 5 messages, sci-fi messages. And I want to remind everyone, this is not a Star Trek podcast. Those aren't Star Trek messages. But we've decided that to keep us honest, we're going to play a game called The Rule of Three. That game limits us to no more than 3 references to Star Trek per episode in total.
That's it. 3. 1, 2, 3. No substitutions, exchanges, or refund.
And Jeff, we took a break from this game on our last episode. But if we happen to make one of those references, what are the folks going to hear?
They're going to hear this.
Well, this week we are diving into the Babylon 5 movies. And we're going to start at the very beginning, which is a very good place to start. With the movie In the Beginning. Jeff, now normally this is the part where I say, there's another game that we like to play at the end of the show where we make a prediction about what next week's episode be, and this is time to pay the piper where we review that prediction, see how right or wrong we absolutely were. The thing is, we never made a prediction about what this movie was going to be. However, you and I have both known the title of this film for a very long time. I don't know when I first became aware of it. While we were doing the show itself, you knew ahead of time what the episodes were. And I don't know how far in advance you were looking at them or being aware of them. I always heard it, for the most part, I always heard it first time right here on the show, right? I don't know when I first became aware of this title. I feel like I've known all of the movie titles for a very long time at this point.
I think so.
So that being said, you hear a title like In the Beginning, and you have thoughts about what it could be about. Jeff, do you just remember what you thought when you heard In the Beginning was going to be about? Like what you thought it might be about? I'm going to say about a lot.
I thought this was going to be about the beginning, but the question is the beginning of what, right? And so my guess was just the beginning of the Babylon project itself. Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to see Babylon 1 or whatever. They probably didn't call it Babylon 1, but kind of see that and just the politics behind it and everything. They'd start introducing the players that would make their way, onto Babylon 5 proper. And it would basically be the story of the people heading into what would become Babylon 5. So I thought it was just going to be the origin story of, how everyone kind of ended up on the station and how the station came to be. What did you think it was going to be about?
I knew that this was exactly what this was about.
Really? Yeah.
This was the Earth Minbari War. Now, I didn't have that it was Londo telling the story from the future. I didn't have all the details of it, but it was clear as day to me that In the Beginning was about the Earth Minbari War. Now, to be fair, I can't recall if anybody ever told me that. Oh, that's covered in the movie In the Beginning, which is about the Earth Minbari War. Somebody might have said that. I'll fully confess that. I may not have come up with that on my own, but I have never not known that that's what this movie was going to be about. Or at least had that in my conscience that it just makes sense to me, So, yeah, give it what it is. So with that, we do know it is about the Earth Minbari War. However, Jeff, we do know that occasionally people come in and they listen to the show without actually having seen the episode, or in this case, the movie prior to coming, or maybe it's just been a really long time since they've watched it. They didn't watch it in preparation, which totally cool. and very, very much okay. Jeff, will you take a few minutes and remind us specifically what In the Beginning was all about?
I was there at the dawn of the Third Age, an age that was born in pain, an age defined by war. And war is pain, pain that bore the Third Age. So much pain. So, super old Emperor Londo Mollari II is chilling on his fancy emperor throne, being all emperor-y, when a couple of kids that were up to no good started making trouble in his neighborhood. But old man Mollari is no Walt Kowalski. No, he knows exactly how to be a kind of cool but creepy uncle for kids. He ends up making the little boy emperor, and that little boy demands a story. And as a good Centauri citizen, Londo obliges. The Dilgar War is ended, and the humans are players on the galactic stage. A familiar face, General Leftcourt, is meeting with another familiar face, a very young-looking Londo Mollari. Earth wants to get out there and meet all the other races, especially the Minbari, who Londo advises they stay away from. They ignore his warning, he calls them arrogant, and we're on a fast track to another war, also likely born from pain. On Minbar, we learn the Rangers are alive and not really so well. They become more or less a punchline in Minbari society. Their leader, Lenon, is raising the alarm, though. We're approaching the time of the prophecy, the return of the shadows. But even the Grey Council, led by Dukat, pretty much laughs them off. They're convinced the Vorlons will show up when it's time, and they've been hiding out for centuries. Dukat, awesome as ever, though, does agree to go to Zahadum to see what's going on there. But he's playing a tight game. Living in a corner of his quarters, or his sanctuary, is none other than Kosh. Later, when Delenn meets them, after becoming an official member of the Grey Council, we find out that Kosh 2.0 is also there. In a moment that we all know excited Brent, we got more of the story behind a late delivery from Avalon. Captain Jankowski and the Prometheus come upon a gaggle of Minbari ships, including the Grey Council's. His orders are to gather more information and get out of there. No first contact, but just like Lieutenant Commander Sheridan warned, he gets all excited and orders the ship closer. We all know what happens here, right? They approach, Minbari open their gun ports, and all hell breaks loose. And we get a familiar shot of David McIntyre following orders, and Delenn absolutely freaking out. And then, war. Earth is all about this, though. They go to Londo. They want to buy weapons, but he wants to keep his neck far away from this. So they go to the Narn. Their guy, someone named Jakar, is all too eager to sell the Centauri weapons that they captured during their war. In a short scene, we see a young Susan Ivanova wish her brother Ganya well. She gives him one of her earrings and vows to not wear it again until he returns. The Minbari are just decimating humans in their colonies. It's so one-sided that even Delenn, who was so eager to withhold all mercy from them, is starting to feel pretty uncomfortable about it. When the Kashas share a pre-recorded message from Dukat, and they all know the humans are vital to the upcoming Shadow War, they hatch a plan for a secret rendezvous with Earth to offer peace negotiations. They send Lenon, who speaks some English, and Earth sends Sheridan, Dr. Franklin, who just got busted for not sharing his notes on Minbari biology, and Jakar, because they traveled in a Narn vessel, right? Well, the Centauri learn of this, and they think it's an arms deal. So Londo orders an attack on them, busting the whole thing up and killing Lenon. Thinking the humans killed him, Delenn sentences them to death until Sheridan passes on a message from Lenon, proving that things were going well and everything was on the up and up. Before that meeting happened, though, we see a familiar story play out. Sheridan's ship attacked and the commanding officer killed. He takes command of the Lexington. On their last legs, he mines an asteroid field and blows the Black Star out of the sky. And with that, and Delenn being a sole voice for peace, the war escalates dramatically. As the Minbari fleets approach Urch, the president calls for a last stand, for a line to be drawn. Here, no further. Of course, everybody knows that it will just buy Earth a little bit of time. Then they're going to be able to evacuate as many people as possible, hopefully saving a couple hundred or so from total extinction. Then we hear a familiar voice. It's Jeffrey Sinclair. He's leading this charge. We see the highlights of the Battle of the Line from And the Sky Full of Stars, and then the Minbari surrender, ending the war. The story ends with the president announcing the Babylon Project. Londo, having told his story, resumes his role as emperor and sends the kids away. He orders bottles and bottles and more bottles of booze to drink while he watches War Without End on his cool floating in midair TV. He asks for the prisoners, Sheridan and Delenn, to be brought to him in an hour, just long enough to almost finish the episode he's watching. And we fade to black. Brent, what did you think as you were in the beginning?
So, Jeff, for those who've seen our reaction video, I am going to do my best to not just rehash all of the conversation that we had while we were watching that movie, because you and I did it together, right? Like typically we do our reactions separately and we come together, and this is the first time we're discussing the episode. This is not the first time we're discussing this film. You and I had lots of actual discussions, so I'm going to do my best to not rehash that. I will start by saying this. I liked this movie. I thought it was a good made-for-TV film. This is not the summer blockbuster. This is not something I'm going to go to the movie theater when it's first out and go see if I'm not already a fan of Babylon 5. You know? But this film wasn't made to be that. This film was made for TV. It was made to go on TNT. It was made to catch people up on some stuff that's happening. It's made to fill in a few gaps, and I think it served all of its purposes perfectly. I really wish we could get an HD upgrade of this film, just like we have this show, because a lot of times that took me out of the episode. Like things were just more blurry than they needed to be. They were, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be critical of this film, but I want everybody to know I liked this film. I very much enjoyed this one. However, here's the other side. When I had to go back and watch it a second time so I could take my notes, I actually found a lot less enjoyment out of it. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I thought it was good the first time around. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm in this. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Once I knew what had all happened and where it all was going, it felt very ho-hum's not the right answer, but I don't know, maybe just the curiosity was out of it for me. I didn't find necessarily the rewatchability side. And I say that, I got to tell you right now, Jeff, with so much trepidation, because I know this movie is well beloved out there in the fandom. And people are firing up their keyboards right now to just bash me over the head for saying that. And, because it's such a great movie. And I thought it was good and it served its purposes, and I did enjoy it. I'm glad we got to watch it. It answered a lot of questions. That were peripheral, always peripheral questions, answered some things that happened in the show that you and I questioned right up to the very end.
Yeah.
Why did Delenn have to look in Kosh's face that one time? Why is Ivanova only wearing one earring? And we've heard, oh, just wait for the movies. It's in the movies. Okay, cool. So I appreciate those tie-ins. I appreciated so much that this movie was encapsulated in War Without End.
Yeah.
I really loved that idea. I loved that it literally led right into that scene, and showed us what was happening. And, oh, by the way, this means as Londo's telling the story, he has hours left to live, if that. So anyway, those are kind of my opening thoughts. I've got a lot of details on this. I will say, I don't know what kind of messages you pulled out of this episode, though, Jeff. I did find a really cool thread that I can't say was the message of this movie, but I think would make a really good case study.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Or a really interesting case study to really, truly dive into more than what you and I are going to do here tonight. So anyway, and we'll get to that, towards the end of the episode. But Jeff, how about you? What did you think? What were kind of your initial thoughts on In the Beginning?
I think I can sum pretty much the whole movie up with one phrase.
Previously on Babylon 5.
I feel a lot of the things the same as you. This just added, there was so much more meat on the bone, right? This is what this was. A lot of stuff that was interesting but not needed, and then a lot of stuff that we needed as well. You know what I mean? And it's not that it wasn't wanted. It's just stuff that was like, I didn't necessarily need to see Franklin getting busted for not sharing his notes. And it's cool that they showed that at the same time. So I think it did a really good job in what it was supposed to be. I feel that the acting in this film was amazing. Like, apparently it's not, what's his name, Rowan D. Atkinson or whatever, who's the problem. It was Byron. It was just the character that was the problem. He was great in this thing. And we'll talk about it in a little bit, but what a showcase for Bruce Boxleitner. Like, just, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because 2 weeks ago, we watched him be like old man Sheridan. And here we see like young, still got that sprite in his step, lieutenant commander. And they're two totally different. Like, he just plays them to a T. I loved it. But I had the same experience as you. When I watched this the second time, sat down to take notes, Brent, I had to watch this movie in 3 sittings.
Oh,
I just had a hard time getting through it. And I want to be as clear as you. It's not that I didn't like it, but it was just like, okay, like I saw it, and it's not that it left other things like with the episodes, when we watch the episodes, what's next? What's this going to lead to? That wasn't really the point of this one, so just the allure of it, I think, was different. I think like a lot of the episodes, and we'll find this out when we start watching them again, have tremendous rewatchability. I don't know that this movie at least really has that. At least it doesn't initially for me.
I will say this on that point, Jeff. I can absolutely understand why veteran Babylon 5 watchers, you guys out there, are so excited for new folks like you and me to watch this movie.
Oh, totally.
Because you've been watching us go, well, gee, why does Vaughn only have one earring in? And, oh, well, gee, exactly what happened there at the Battle of the Line? Like, we saw a few little clips here and there, but what was all that? And why did Dylan need to do that one thing? And all those questions that we have, and just go, it's there in the movie. It's there in the movie. I'm so excited for you to watch the movie. And it's a decent movie.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a good movie. It's fun. It's action packed. I mean, it's how could you not love a movie that is couched exactly like The Princess Bride?
Totally. Like, we were riffing on The Princess Bride while we were watching it. It was like so beat for beat.
Right. I mean, the best beat is when like the little kid just interrupts the story. He's like, there's kissing? I thought you said there's going to have war and battle and cool stuff in it. And the grandpa's like, just wait. Do you want to read? Come on. It's getting there.
Chill out, Fred Savage. It's going to be fine.
Right?
Just chill out.
Columbo's all in there.
But no, I think one of the things I really took away from this also, TNT was truly invested in this series.
Yeah.
Like you, it's difficult. We have, got a big screen TV that we watch this on, that I watched it on for the second time. This isn't made for that at all. The copy that I have, like, I don't know, about halfway through, the sound starts to really drift and it gets really hard to watch and listen to. So, but that's not how it was made, right? Like, it was meant to be on my 19-inch Zenith, TV that I had back, when this came out. And I imagine it looked amazing. The battle scenes, like the Battle of the Line stuff, holy crap, it looked so good. The music was so excellent. It's like TNT clearly was going to make Babylon 5 work however it could. So I love that about this. So yeah, all in all, it did everything I think it was supposed to do. I think it did it really, really well. I think everyone who showed up gave it their best. And I probably look forward to watching this in 2 years when we get to the end of the series again.
I mean, I would be okay watching this in like chronological order, like wherever it actually falls in the timeline, you know, like because as I understand it, and people out there will let us know in the comments of this was made between seasons 3 and season 4.
I think 4 and 5.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Between season 4 and season 5. But I know everybody really, as soon as Atonement hit, that's when everybody wanted us to watch this episode. You know, because that's when we met Ducat and we saw that whole scene. And then, of course, that was plugged into this film. But I wouldn't mind watching it there or even back with War Without End. I would be glad to do that at that point. But yeah, two watchings back to back right now. Here's a question I have. I want you to imagine you're a person who's never seen Babylon 5. You are the average person on TNT. TNT's just bought this, and you say, hey, we need to catch up people who don't know what Babylon 5 is about, right? Does this film serve that purpose to bring, imagine you didn't know anything about it, and you're going to start with season 5, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a few syndicated reruns, possibly.
Which I'm pretty sure they did when it went on to TNT.
I would they had to, right?
Yeah.
Like
get their money's worth.
Yeah, at least show season 4 or something like that. Like, but does this film do what it needs to do to catch you up to send you into season 5? Think about what season 5 is as well.
I don't think you could walk into season 5 with this, but I think you could walk into season 2. And it would be amazing. But because there's so much that happens in seasons 3 and 4 that weren't part of this.
Does it whet your appetite enough to make you want to watch the show?
100%.
To go back and start from the beginning and watch the show?
I think back to when I first watched it. It was one of the very first, first season episodes, early first season episodes, or In the Gathering was the first thing I ever watched in this in the mid 90s. And I did not watch more. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
If I had watched this, there's a strong chance I would have got hooked and started watching.
I completely agree. Completely agree. When I say this is mission accomplished, this would have sent me back to Midnight on the Firing Line and given me stuff. And what would have been really cool is, so you know about the Triluminary, you know about what happened with Sinclair, you know about all of that stuff. And to watch that begin to slowly unfold. So yeah, this would make me want to go back and watch it. And I would really enjoy picking up those pieces. Oh, that was in the movie. Oh, I know what that is. In ways that you and I had no idea when we were doing our first watch.
Exactly.
Or you first ones out there when you were doing your first watch when it was still on the P10 network.
Mm-hmm. And with one exception, I don't think it would have ruined anything. I think it would have been exactly what you said. Oh, cool. Oh, that's that thing. Oh, that's that thing. Mm-hmm. They did do one thing we'll talk about in a minute because I have one other observation I want to make from our opening thoughts that I had. But one thing I think they did screw up, my opinion. But it hit me when we were just closing these opening thoughts. We watched in the beginning, the first time together, and we're like, this is great. Watched it the second time, and we're like, yeah, it's good. It's good. Do you remember a couple months ago now, we watched In the Gathering. Mm-hmm. In the Gathering. We watched The Gathering.
Right.
With our buddies over at the Sci-Fi Remnant podcast. Well, we watched it ourselves, and we talked about it with them.
We watched it for their show. They wanted us to come on and do something with their show. That's why we watched it. Yeah.
So we cut together a reaction. I don't remember I think we put it here on YouTube.
I think so. Yeah.
I know it's on our Patreon, but we did not like The Gathering the second time.
Not on the second time, no.
And same with this one. I wonder, it'd be interesting to see how it works with the other movies.
Here's the thing. I didn't like The Gathering infinitely more than I didn't like in the beginning.
Agreed.
Does that make sense what I just said?
Yeah. Like I need to stop. The Gathering. That was not good.
Yeah.
It was not good. It clearly served its purpose, but I also understand why it aired and a year later the series started. Like, it was not.
And they made some changes that were definitely needed.
Badly. This was awesome. This was great. So I think it was really good. But to dive into some of the conversation, they straight up said that Sinclair is Valen.
Did they?
Yeah. So they did the scene from And the Sky Full of Stars with the Triluminary on Sinclair.
Yeah.
Then Delenn and Dude run off, and she's like, they're like, he has a Minbari soul. Oh my gosh, he has a Minbari soul. That wasn't given up until the first episode of the second season. So already, like, that's a big, that was the big secret, the hole in your mind.
Yep.
For the first season.
Because that was like, the question of the whole first season.
What happened?
What happened? Yeah.
What is this whole thing? I can almost forgive giving that up, because after that she says, not only is it a Minbari soul, he has the soul of Valen.
Yeah.
She just outright said it. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, when it was in the first episode with Naroon, where you were like, is maybe he Minbari? Is that then, like, he has Valen's? It's Valen's soul. Like, that was such a great journey for us to go on. Like, those little clues that came up. It made that first episode of the second season so much more exciting when Linear was like, hey, I'm going to give you 14 minutes of exposition on what would have been a few more episodes. But we're like, oh God, yeah, cool. We figured that out. And then to find out it was Valen, and they just dumped it in this movie. Now, maybe if I watch this movie and then I go watch Midnight on the Firing Line and work my way up, I will have kind of forgotten that detail by the time it comes around. But also I was just, I don't know, maybe because that was such a key part of my journey. I was like, you got to earn that, man. You can't just give it away.
So here's the thing, Jeff, and it has been thoroughly documented. The way you watch the show, the way I watch the show, the things you pull out of the show, the things I pull out of the show, the things you remember, the things that I remember, are very different.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to sit here and say that this is ubiquitous to all the watchers out there. You would probably pick that up and have that spoiled through you all the way through. I promise you, I would have seen that in the film and I would not have known what that meant, who that was, how that connected, that when I saw it in the show, it still would have felt like new news to me in the show.
That's fair.
It would have. It wouldn't have maybe if anything, it would say the little triluminary thing glows when somebody has a soul of Valen. Whatever that means. Because I don't even really know what that means.
Exactly. Oh, he must be some dude. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, he's one of us. So I think that's the way I would interpret it, but who knows? Who knows?
So there's that. You mentioned this happened during War Without End. What a pole in the tent those episodes are. Like, everything really seems to revolve around War Without End.
As it should. Which is really interesting, because War Without End was not, as I understand it, was not the original plan.
Right.
Like, the show was, like, I think meant to end with that whole piece, when we still thought that Michael O'Hara was going to be with us through the full 5 seasons. And, it just, that got fast forwarded when everything happened with him and JMS was able to come back around to it. So it is pretty phenomenal to think how central that story is to what you're just saying, knowing that was jettisoned at one point and then sort of salvaged, that it still revolves around that idea. So
that's cool.
Jeff, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this movie opens with a voiceover by Delenn, and Jakar has like a piece of it. I think even maybe Ivanova had a piece of it. No? Okay.
Just the two of them. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That's not my question though. You and I have seen all of these episodes where Jakar gets an opening voiceover for an episode. Delenn gets one. Ivanova gets one. Garibaldi gets one. Even Lockley gets one. I don't know that Sheridan and Sinclair ever got an actual voiceover. They probably did. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. Here's my question for you. I want you to rank your top 5. Rank those 5: Jakar, Delenn, Ivanova, Garibaldi, and Lockley. Rank them as far as your favorite like episode voiceover start person.
Off the top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go Garibaldi, Jakar,
Mm-hmm.
Delenn, Lockley. Is that everybody we said?
Ivanova.
Oh, okay. Garibaldi, Jakar, Ivanova, Delenn. The last
Lockley.
one. Lockley.
So Lockley's going to find her way at the bottom just because of volume.
Well, that and I think that when she had them, they served the story well, but they weren't big.
Yeah. I think to me it's got to be Jakar. There's just something about Andreas Katsoulis's voice that just seals it. But then for me it really goes to Ivanova.
Yeah.
I love when Ivanova does a voiceover. And then I mean Delenn and Garibaldi are 3A and 3B to me, you know.
Yeah.
I really Jeff, here's the one thing I got for you also coming out of this episode. Did you notice the thing in this episode that didn't happen?
That's a really wide open question.
Yes. And I want to congratulate JMS for showing an amazing, what I assume was an amazing amount of restraint. And I really want to see the draft of his movie where he killed the kids. Because he didn't kill the kids in this film.
They didn't
They
die.
made it all the way to the end alive.
That alone is a Babylon 5 like marker. Kids made it to the end.
Kids. I wonder if TNT like gave him a note like the kids can't die anymore, dude. Stop it.
Londo's literally looking out the window and shoves the kid out of it at one point. He's like, "That's why I keep these things closed." And they're like, "No, you can't. You can't do that." James is like, "But that's my thing. That's totally my thing." Right. I did, in that opening voiceover though, and I alluded to it in my opening recap piece of the episode. I think they said pain for real like 12 times.
Yeah.
In that, and not once did we get a pain.
Right.
They were all like these just, I don't know if it was the directing. It definitely was not the acting. Those two are incredible actors. It's either the writing or the directing, but that was just an awkward, weird opening voiceover that in retrospect, I don't think fits.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. I just thought it was really weird.
So here's Jeff, if this was an episode, we'd know how to go. I don't know how to go through this movie. Like
I know, right?
I don't want to go point by point through the movie because we would be here for far too long, and people have seen the whole. They've seen the movie. Well, let me ask you this question. You're the kid. Londo hands you the crest. You're emperor for 5 minutes. What is your one order? And by the way, those of you listening out there, drop it down in the comments. Send us an email, babylon5first@gmail.com. Let us know what your one order is. I'm really curious. I want to know. But Jeff, what's your one order?
It wouldn't be a story. I can tell you that. No way. I have some really like inappropriate thoughts on like I don't know what that the au pair or whatever, that lady, I don't know what her role was, but I imagine he had some thoughts there. Which also, just as a side note, a French Centauri, I imagine Marcus would have something to say about that.
Oh.
He had some not kind words for that. I don't know, because it like the easy thing to say is, well, I'd order, peace with the alliance or something like that. But that little kid doesn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
Maybe I'd order like, hey, go put out those fires.
Yeah.
Open the windows. It'd probably be
That's
something
the one
like
right
that.
there. Open the windows.
Like, come on, we're in a palace for goodness sake.
Right.
What would you order?
Pizza.
Heck yeah, that sounds good.
No, I think I'd order the windows open. Like if I'm in that little kid's shoes, like the windows, that one, I also very much think that my order, because the emperor, and I'm thinking of this as an adult Brent, not as Brent as a little kid. you know, you hand me this. I know, we all know how the Emperor is. We know what it's like to be President Scroob. Like,
right?
Let's go. I got 6 things. Let's go.
Right. One for each of ya.
Right. Right. I thought it was very interesting in this film. Londo asked, the first question he asked the kids, what are your names?
Mm-hmm.
Which, AKA, another way to say that is,
who are you?
Who are you? And then he goes, what do you want?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they said the questions. They said the questions.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It was so smooth how they did it also. And I love that they acknowledged it. Londo was like, you've answered that a lot better than I did when I had a chance. So,
right. Yeah. Right. Great film. And the structure of this film, though, like for what that one example you just said, I love seeing how our main actors come into the movie, how they interact within the film with interacting with each other in the past.
Yeah.
And then seeing, at least with Londo, we get the current day Londo, and seeing how he's responding to the things that had happened in the past. And it very much reminded me of watching like the flashback scenes from the show Lost. I don't know if you ever watched that show. You know what I mean? Because it was always like, oh, look, we were all on the plane together. And here's that time you ran past me while I was trying to get the gate agent to let my heroin in or something like that. Like,
yeah. But it is like they took those little things, and turned it into a thing. I thought was great. But I kind of mentioned it before, but as we're talking about those back and forth things, we talked about how Babylon 5 does old person makeup really well. They do young person makeup really well also.
This was before de-aging technology as well.
Mm-hmm. Like this is practical.
Yeah, this is they got up underneath the wig and they pulled those wrinkles up. I have a big question about that. And we talked about this during the recording. Big question. The one that sticks out to me more than anyone else is Sheridan, is Bruce Boxleitner. Okay? Because when we see Bruce Boxleitner, his hair is high and tight.
Yeah.
And cut. Right? Now, I don't know when they filmed this movie. I know it came out between seasons 4 and 5, but I don't know when they filmed it. If they filmed it between seasons 4 and 5, you know, Sheridan ends season 4 with this cool goatee, perfectly coiffed hair. He begins season 5, cool goatee, perfectly coiffed hair, to cut his hair and have it regrow to where it doesn't look like anything has really changed. Like, that's phenomenal to me. I don't know what they put. They put Miracle Grow on that dude's head or something. I don't know what's going on. But dang, it looks so good. And he looked like he was 12.
He did. Like, just the way he carried himself. Tone. What really got me was his voice. We talked about it in, I think it was Objects at Rest. We talked about it, how he just had that gravel in his voice, you know, and especially in Sleeping in the Light. But like here, he just sounded so like upper register and eager, and just had, you know, and was so like just so optimistic. And well, hey, we want to put you on the Prometheus, and well, you know, that guy's not a great CO and he could use stuff, but golly darn it, I want to stay on the Lexington because I made a commitment. And it's just like, wow, like, but that it's not out of like, that's totally in character for him. That's how he would show up. And
that's totally in character for how Bruce Boxleitner acts and how he would portray him.
Totally.
You know, because here's the thing, Jeff, think about this for a moment. Were you super aware of Bruce Boxleitner before watching Babylon 5?
Not super aware, no.
Okay. Were you super aware of Peter Jurasik before watching Babylon 5?
Not at all.
Were you super aware of Andreas Katsoulis before you watched Babylon 5?
Not super aware, no.
Okay. Were you super aware of Claudia Christian?
Yeah, I was pretty darn aware of her.
Really? Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
But she does a ton of voiceover work I'm aware of, and then she did some movies that were pretty okay.
Cool. I wasn't at all.
Okay.
But think about just those few people that I named, you know, but particularly like Peter Jurasik and Andreas Katsoulis and Bruce Boxleitner. I'm going to put those three. Honestly, even Jerry Doyle, you know, had some phenomenal moments. I mean, you and I have gushed over Richard Biggs's performance as Stephen Franklin. For as much crap as we give Stephen Franklin, we've never given any crap to Richard Biggs
at all. He's been fantastic.
Marcus Cole, Jason Carter, thank you. Phenomenal with the way I think he portrays that role. Like, so many great actors that you and I have really been either introduced to or
expanded upon,
very familiar with. You know, because I guarantee you and I hear Andreas Katsoulis' voice in anything, and we're immediately picking it out. When you see, we've spent, I feel like, the last half of season 5 just gushing over Bruce Boxleitner and his acting.
Totally.
More than that. I mean, this goes back to season 3, season 4, of just how he is such a good actor. Like, how he doesn't have more pub now, I just don't understand. Like, because he's so good, you know. And Peter Jurczyk, I need more stuff with him in it.
For real. Yeah, it's wild. And I think that's the thing in a lot of TV, right? Like long form television, there are people who take lead roles in different shows that you never see again. You know, and a lot of it probably has to do with compensation and, you know, contracts and things like that or whatever. They don't need to. But also it's like, wow, that person was amazing. Why isn't their IMDb 17,000 pages long?
Right.
When you have other people like Claudia Christian, like Atkins, you know, Byron, who do have those 17,000 page IMDb things that a lot of it's unknown stuff. It's just interesting.
Jeff, if I may, I want to, because I want to, I feel like we haven't talked a lot about the movie itself.
We have not. You're right.
And I really want to hit this movie. Well, let's talk about this in 2 parts. Okay. This next piece. What are the things from this movie that, because we talked about earlier, that answered questions that called back to previous parts of Babylon 5 that really made this movie enjoyable? And then what are maybe some new questions that this film introduced, or maybe some things that it didn't clarify as much as maybe you wanted it to? But let's start with the first one.
Yeah.
Because that one's more fun.
Well, I think some of it, like just off the top, like A Late Delivery from Avalon, Atonement, and The Sky Full of Stars, Points of Departure. These are all episodes that we saw. Like, they literally took footage out of a lot of these, plopped it in, and then we got all this extra context and content around them.
Yep. I wanted to, so referring to Late Delivery from Avalon, here's the thing. The Michael York character, whatever the heck his name was.
David McIntyre.
Of course you would remember that.
I put it in my recap. That's the only reason I know.
Oh, okay. There it is. You know, his whole thing was like, he was the one who fired first. He pulled the trigger. It wasn't his order, but he was the one who pulled the trigger and whatever. But when we saw this, it wasn't just him.
No.
It was actually a whole bunch of other people.
Yeah.
It was not him at all.
I'm not going to take away from his trauma and PTSD or anyone else's that has been involved. I mean, you could be told to fire, right? But you're still the one firing, and that there's real impacts. And I acknowledge that, and it's awful. And I hope people are able to get help and not think they're King Arthur. That said, I have less sympathy for him after watching this than I even did before. And I did not have a lot after watching Avalon. This did not do much to help A Late Delivery from Avalon's case. I liked go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I really liked how they used atonement in this one, to the point that I actually went back and watched a couple scenes from Atonement, because I was like, this is so seamless in the film. These have to have been redone. They have to have been no. Like the same
was
people.
Byron in Atonement?
He was.
Because you and I talked about whether or not he was there or not, or if they just reshot this piece. He was. It was him.
He was. Yeah.
Man,
wow.
Yeah.
But it was so, and I think that's like one of JMS's superpowers, because we saw it in War Without End. War Without End, Babylon Squared, this like seamless weaving of everything that just made perfect sense. Here we see it, but on just such a grand scale across 4 seasons of Babylon 5. He interweaves this, together in such a way that's almost perfect.
So one of the things that it went into was a little bit of clarification of the history of the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I have heard a lot from the community about the history of the Rangers and where they go. I know that when we first heard about the Rangers from Sinclair, when we had that video from him in season 2, my impression was he started the Rangers right then and there.
Same. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we had heard through various levels, and we really, and here's the thing, we'll tell the folks out there, folks, we read the comments, we see your comments, mm-hmm. but what Jeff and I really try to do is we let the show try to tell us what's happening and not you guys. So also because a lot of times the comments that we hear then get contradicted by other comments, and we don't really know which ones of those are right or wrong. So but we really try to let the show. So until the show tells us something different, we go with what our initial impression is as far as the show goes, right, Jeff? Like that's kind of how we go. So we thought this,
mm-hmm.
and then, I don't know at what point we realized that there was this big long history of the Rangers, but in this one, when we all of a sudden we get this Ranger 1, this Anlashak Na guy who is the leader of the Rangers, and that they've actually been around for all of these years. Because what did we get? We got in Deconstruction Fallen Stars. We know the Rangers exist way into the future, but we didn't necessarily know they existed in the past. And did we know that that Sinclair went back as Valen and started the Rangers back then? Did we know that? Because I don't think we did.
I don't think we knew it. I inferred it. I know I inferred it, but I don't think we knew that.
Yeah, I don't think that was something that we got until really in this deal. But we have this whole kind of this snippet of the history of the Rangers, of they were around back then, they helped out. There was this prophecy that they were going to come back, and they just sort of delved into this, I'm going to say Night Watch, but I mean that from the Game of Thrones style, not from the Babylon 5 style of Night Watch.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just devolved into this laughable entity that nobody took serious anymore. Right. And turns out they were ready to come back. So I really enjoyed kind of getting that long running bit of it. I do wonder sometimes if folks don't, I know I have trouble distinguishing when I read books and when I watch shows and movies, that I have trouble distinguishing where I know information from. Mm-hmm. Is that a book fact, or is that a show fact, or is that a movie fact, or is that I got that from an interview fact once or something like that. Sometimes I have trouble distinguishing that. And I feel like sometimes when we were given those conversations, that's where
it got a little fuzzy.
Happen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing we don't still really know is what is the difference, if there is a difference at all, between Intil Za and Anlashak Na.
Yeah, so on our Discord, there was some really, I was going to say heated, but passionate conversation around this. And there are two camps on what Intil Za means. Now, we did get Anlashak Na, Ranger 1. That's a clear thing. What's clear is Valen.
Mm-hmm.
As I said something, I think it's clear, but I think this is from the Discord conversation. So owning this as fan fact for us at this point. But Valen was in Tilza. Then after that, they didn't call themselves that out of respect for Valen. Like there's Valen, and then there's Anlashak Na, and then it wasn't until Sinclair that we used Intil Za again. But we don't know that at this point. I like your point though. On the Night's Watch from Game of Thrones, I made the same observation, because even in that, in the end, they were needed. Like the threat was real, and what they were there to do was necessary, just like the Rangers, the Anlashak here. And it also reminded me of one of my favorite book series from when I was a kid, the Dragon Riders of Pern. Very similar thing happened where the reason they existed didn't happen in the cycle. And so everyone's like, oh, we don't need the Dragon Riders anymore. And so they became a joke and whittled down to one little group. And then the stuff came back and all of a sudden they needed them. It's one of those stories that so many different shows do. Like we talk about those sci-fi stories that every show does. It's almost like a fantasy story, all the fantasy ones do. But I loved it in here. And I loved Lennon as a character because like he had so much belief, right? Like he knew, and he was so pure about this prophecy. And as I say that, I recall really having a hard time with a lot of the Minbari prophecies because they seemed to unfold at the speed of plot, and they often didn't make a lot of sense. And it was specifically times when Delenn did things when I said they didn't make a lot of sense. But I think there's a difference in her dissolving the Grey Council and busting the staff and be like, it's the prophecy. And then what? 2 seasons later, it pays off when she, when they have their little civil war and they reform the Grey Council. But it's like, what was that? As compared to Lennon, who's like, no, like tick tock, it's time. It's very clear. He said 1,000 years. It has been 987. So
let's go.
Where are my guys? Come on.
Right.
I liked him as a character quite a bit.
I liked him, and I really wanted him to be Drawl.
Here's one of my all caps notes on here. Where is Drawl?
Right.
Like, come on.
He's still teaching in the school.
Where's Drawl? Why did we get nothing on Epsilon 3? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So many opportunities there.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I've posed and we've had is, what is the nature of the one? Right? We live for the one, we die for the one. And I know I said this in an episode, I don't know how far back now. If you're telling me that the one is Ranger 1, just whoever happens to be in charge, I don't know that I would sign up to live and die for that person, whomever it happens to be at the time.
Right.
Right. If you're telling me that it's Valen, maybe, but he's been gone for a really long time. I'm not living and dying for him. He's not around anymore. Maybe. I don't know.
Depending on
I'm a faith person, so like I kind of get it, but also not necessarily in this case because it's different. But I want to propose a new answer that I think this movie might have set the answer for.
Okay.
And this is, and by the way, if you and I were to ever go to a con and JMS was on the panel, my first answer would be, hi, I'm Brent. Thank you for not calling the cops. And if you need me, I'm right over there.
Right.
But my question would be, what is the one? Can you please talk about what the nature of the one is? Is it a specific person? Is it this triumvirate of 3? Or is it a whole different idea? And here's the thing. In Delenn's Satai ceremony, when she's doing the whole thing with Dukat and the staff and all that kind of crap, right? Dukat asks her, what is her purpose or what does she do? And she says this. She says she serves the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is that we are one people, one voice. One people, one voice. And I think I said a while ago that what the one is, what if the one is everyone? We are the one. This one voice, this one people. Now, to Delenn, in that moment, they're talking about the Minbari folks, the Minbari society, that as Minbari, we are one voice and we are one people. Oh, by the way, we've just seen a whole thing with the Grey Council, and we've seen Lennon talking to the one dude from the Grey Council. They are not one.
No.
They are very divided. So, but I love the idea. I love that concept that we are going to move as one group of people. We are going to move. We are one. Okay, let's expand that much larger than just the Minbari. I really wonder if that kind of is a nod to the one. We live for the one, we die for the one. We are the one. And, you know, you can imagine how much crap they got when they started infusing humans into that group. And, oh, by the way, when Delenn starts infusing Pomeroy and other beings into the one.
I think that's brilliant. And when I think about it, the one who is Valen, right? Sinclair, Valen. And he brought the Minbari together, formed the Grey Council, three workers, 3 warriors, 3 religious, to make them one. That kind of fell apart. So fast forward to the one who is, Delenn. What did she do? She broke up the Grey Council and then reformed the Grey Council in a way that better represented contemporary reality. And then the one who will be, Sheridan, who then took all that Minbari idea of being the one and created it as the Interstellar Alliance. If we think about the declarations of principles that G'Kar wrote, that was the point. We are one. That's what G'Kar said. So that makes perfect sense. Sinclair just brought them together. Delenn refined and modernized it, and Sheridan made it galactic.
Now, I just want to be super clear. I'm positive if I were to actually go ask JMS that, he would look at me like I'm a big dumb idiot, like I didn't pay attention to a show. Because like, I told you what the one is. The one is the 3 people in Sinclair, Delenn, and Sheridan. That's what the one is.
And I proved it in that terrible episode, Comes the Inquisitor. I mean, what more do you...
That was a great episode. Hush your mouth, Jeffrey Akin.
I'm staying on that.
That was a good episode.
Okay.
Anyway, but I really, you know, I think that winds up. So yeah,
they gave us more context on how Sheridan got the name Starkiller.
Yeah,
we got to see him blow up the Black Star. Now I tend to remember things pretty well, but also like we've been watching this show for a while now. I thought that happened like around Jupiter or something like that, but that's my memory. I could be wrong, but either way, it was not how I thought it went down, right? I kind of just envisioned him as like being tactical and deciding this thing, and not like, oh my God, my CO is dead and I got to figure something out right now. But that's a total Sheridan way of doing it, which I thought was cool.
We get the answer to Ivanova's ring, one earring.
We do.
Which you explained it very well in your recap, so I won't dive into it other than just to say, aw.
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
It really is, but it's awesome all at the same time. You know, like I'm not going to wear this one earring in memory of my fallen brother.
I told him I would not wear it till he came back. I will not wear it.
Yeah, like that.
If I remember her story, that happened. I thought it was cool too how he was there at the Black Star. Like he's the one really who kind of caused all that to end up happening. So that was a neat tie between Sheridan and Ivanova. But I think Ivanova... Oh,
you mean that Sheridan was responsible for Ganya's death?
Yeah. Well, actually, he wasn't at that point because the CO was still on board at that point.
Anyway.
But yeah, it was close enough. It was close
enough.
That when Ivanova was lieutenant, they were serving together, right? And so, like, I'm sure if there was anything that going on there, they hashed that out. But I think if I remember her story right, that whole thing went down. Battle of the Line happened. Or no, not Battle of the Line, but that whole thing happened, and that's when the war really took off, and that's when she went and joined Earth Force. So she must have been, I don't know, like 19 or 20 probably when in that scene that we saw. And then she's like, oh, well.
And talk about de-aging. She looked, her young Ivanova looked great.
Yeah. Totally late teens, early 20s, that short hair. She just had like almost cherubic face with really well done.
And this is a Claudia Christian who's been on the show for at least 4 years at this point.
Exactly.
And has grown. Like, she doesn't look the same at the end of season 4 as she does in season 1, you know? So
Sheridan says a thing though, like I have to call out. So at this point, he has not yet, I don't think he's blown up the Black Star yet, but they're in one of those kind of awkward scenes they used where all the soldiers were kind of lined up in this big black auditorium, and then there were left court, and then the Full Metal Jacket guy who were up there yelling at him about how hardcore the Minbari were. And he turns over, I think he's talking to his CO at the time, and he's like, I've never believed in the idea of an undefeatable enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Where, Brent, have we heard that before? I'm thinking Captain Kirk, Admiral Kirk.
You said it. Don't say it.
I don't believe in a no-win scenario. He said that. I'm just like,
yeah, I know.
Word for word.
I know.
Word for word.
I know.
Like, there it is.
You can send all your angry emails to Jeff@Babylon5.com.
Yeah, feel free. Also, not wrong. Hey, you said a thing during our reaction that I wanted to ask about. So I was going to say drawl, but Lennon and Delenn go in. He's showing her Kosh, right? Hey, look how legit this is, what a big deal is.
Yeah.
And then Kosh 2 comes out.
Yeah.
And you said that's
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, but you said that's Ulkesh.
Yeah.
Do we know he has a different name?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
We do. So Kosh 1 is Kosh Naranik.
Yes.
Okay, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
Kosh 2 Electric Boogaloo is Kosh Ulkesh.
Okay.
So they're all Kosh, right?
Right.
Now, why do I know that? Is it something the show revealed to us at one point? I don't know. I based on the fact that you're unaware of this, I'm going to go with no. Here's what I'd have though. I don't have them right here right now. My wife made me do something else with them.
Your figures.
I have a whole collection of figures, and I have Kosh Naranik as one. I think I have Ulkesh as another one that's in there as well. Also, people have peppered our comments with these two names. That there's Ulkesh and that there's Naranik. I want to say also maybe it's something that we talked about in our council chambers with our folks at the council group on Patreon. And it might have been a time when you weren't there or you had already left or something like that. But yeah, that is just like, that's one of those, I was saying earlier, like, I don't know where I know this bit of information from. Like, is that show information or is that from something else? That's Ulkesh. That's the dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's him.
Okay.
Before he turned into a big giant a-hole. Or maybe he still was and he just had the other Kosh to hold him at bay. Yeah.
They kind of balanced each other out.
Yeah.
Another thing we learned about Londo, I mean, God, I think we've said it on this show, and others have talked about it too, that I'm really coming to believe that Babylon 5 is the story of Londo Mollari.
I've heard that from lots of people, and they're not necessarily wrong either.
Yeah, from my experience, they're not wrong at all. And this movie did more to add to that. Just pounding and just putting so much more on him. He in a scene that I thought was weird in the moment, but then they paid off. He's like, all that blood in the Earth-Minbari War, that's all on my hands. And it's like, what? Well, at first it was because, he refused to sell them weapons. But no, it's because he went and kiboshed the peace meeting that they tried on that snowy world where they met Lennon.
Hoth.
And I know, yeah. I saw the Tauntaun running in the back. That's how they got Lennon up to the ship. They cut open a Tauntaun and put him inside of it for a while, and you thought it stunk on the outside. But no, I thought that was, I mean, it was sad, it was tragic, but that's what things are with Londo. I thought it was really cool addition to the story that, like, not only am I Londo, the guy who started the Centauri genocide of the Narn, not only am I Londo who started the Shadow War, I'm also Londo that almost genocided the humans by proxy. Wow. That dude's been through some stuff.
I want to save some thoughts on that for a little bit later.
Okay.
Here in just a few minutes. But before we get there, can we talk about Sinclair for a moment?
Yeah.
So we get another, I don't know if this was an answer or just more of an expounding upon the whole thing that happened with him. We saw the other side of, like, why he got taken and how he got pulled. And it literally was just grab that guy. Right?
Yeah.
Just happened to get him. But they brought him in. Bigger than that, though. We even got the discussion of, like, we'll erase his memory so he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like we got that, right? But what we really got here was a showing of the Triluminary and how they held it right up to him and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that we saw that back in The Sky Full of Stars.
We did. Yeah.
I know we did. I don't remember it.
It's a long time ago.
But here's the thing, even not remembering it then, I didn't know what it really meant.
Exactly. It meant nothing at that point.
Now that I know what it means, and I see them doing it earlier with Delenn as she's going into like her ceremony and all that kind of stuff, and they're like, oh, she's got the Soul of Valen. I really want to see that thing go around the entire Grey Council circle. I want to see who all is also a Soul of Valen, a child of Valen.
Yeah.
This dude is a child of Valen. I think that's you're a child of Valen if it makes it glow, And what does that mean? What are the children of Valen? What does that mean in Minbari society? Do you know that you're a child of Valen if you're in Minbari society? Or is that, well, obviously we don't, because we find an atonement, like she had no idea.
Exactly.
So, we get all of those people. And you remember when we were talking about like Delenn and how there's this prophecy. Well, was the prophecy really made about her, or did she make the prophecy about herself?
Yeah.
Because she's like, well, this is me, then I'm going to fulfill the prophecy. Like,
but being a child of Valen, was it actually her?
The answer is both, I think, so I loved that we got that. And, I got to tell you, just to hat tip the production team on this again, hat tip JMS. I questioned in the middle of this episode or movie, did they bring Michael O'Hare back and film new scenes for this movie?
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They pulled this either from footage that was in an episode, or they pulled it from footage that had hit the cutting room floor. I'm not sure which one it was, but it probably all was what was actually in the episodes. The way they interwove that and cut that together,
perfect.
Beautiful.
Flawless. Some of the stuff they wove in, some of it from Sky Full of Stars, some of it from Avalon, the lighting was clearly less, like it was a little worse than what it was for the film, but they minimized those quite a bit. But yeah, like there's the scene where like he's getting drug underneath this grate and he's like, what's going on? I didn't remember that in The Sky Full of Stars. Again, we watched that forever ago, so it might have been there, but I'm like, did they film that? He got a credit. He was actually credited in the film. And we talked about that during the reaction of like, is that because they filmed stuff or why? My gut tells me it's because JMS wanted to make sure he got paid.
I was going to say it would be completely on brand with what we know out of JMS. And this is such a kudo to him.
Yeah, big time.
That he would not just reuse stock footage that they already own, but that he would put him in there as a person who gets credited. Probably also, as you just said, ensuring that he gets paid for his stuff and what he's doing. Like,
super cool. Although Claudia Christian, not credited.
No, really?
She's not credited in that film at all.
Really?
Yeah. Found that really
interesting.
Weird.
Interesting.
And I'm curious, like with the timing of everything, how did that work? Was she already out of a contract and they couldn't credit her because there wasn't one? Was this her basically being like, yeah, I'm happy to help out and film a scene for you? Like, how did that go down? I'm very curious. It doesn't matter, but I'm just curious about it. I think one of my last thoughts on the stuff that kind of we were left with was that peace meeting that happened on Hoth. So Jakar, Sheridan, Dr. Franklin all go and watch a Minbari get killed from a Centauri attack, basically. Fast forward 11 years or whatever, and they're all in the station together, and you never know. I mean, granted, they've probably been on hundreds of missions, over their time, but I don't know. To me, it just feels a little hollow that there was no, especially between Sheridan and Jakar, that there was never any sort of a, like, they had that really touching goodbye. I think it was in Objects in Motion. That was just like, he called him John, when he walked, oh, you never called me John before. And it's like, yeah, you were there together and that didn't get a mention. Also, I get it. I get it. And then like my last real thought on everything, I am so famous that I'm infamous for my critical view of Delenn in so many of the ways that she's shown up in this show. And one of the moments that our community really united against me was when I talked about she's coming from an emotional place. She's not thinking. She's literally either escalating the war with the shadows or, with Earth in this thing, because she's just letting her emotions take over and she's not thinking about stuff. And I stand by that very much so. No mercy, she screams at Minbari Byron. And here we go. Here's the war. But I loved the scenes that they peppered in here where she was watching the slaughter and she was just like, oh, shoot.
Well, she's looking at that the way Londo's looking out that window.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That is a great. And the difference is she did something about it. Like
Londo eventually did.
Eventually. But like she tried to pull a peace envoy together, and then all the way up to Battle of the Line, she was looking for ways like, how do we stop this from happening? Mm-hmm. And then finally Kosh was like, the truth, will reveal it, will reveal itself, or I forget the exact line he said. I can find it here, but that was a big point that you brought up during the reaction. Did that explains Chrysalis, right? Chrysalis, where she's like, you got to show me. And to the end of the series, we're like, why? What did he have to show her?
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that we still don't know, and I'm going to keep harping on this, and I'm driving people crazy out there about it. Why was it that Sheridan had to be saved by Kosh? That forced Kosh to reveal himself to everyone, to go full frontal.
Yeah.
Just reveal himself to all. Like, what was it? What is it about Sheridan? What did they know about Sheridan in that moment that it had to be him that got saved?
It's a good question, because what we find out in Zahadum, the episode Zahadum, is if it wasn't Sheridan, it would have been Garibaldi, or it would have been they're like, it would have been somebody else. Mm-hmm. And so did you really have to save him? Oh no. We got a couple more.
Did you really
movies
have to expose yourself and this whole thing with the Vorlons for that?
To make that happen. Yeah.
We
got a couple more movies coming up. Maybe that'll want a good answer. My big question,
I'm not
still hanging
for it.
No, do not do that. My big question that I will hold my breath on.
Yeah.
Where's the great egg? Come on. You don't drop something like that early in the series and just let it go. Come on.
Well, somebody came in, dropped a bomb, they all got cut, and now they're done.
My soul escaped.
Yeah, so now we're going to kill you because you're just a carcass walking around. You're a zombie.
And a kid, so you got to die.
Hey, real quick, I found this out. And this very clearly came from the community out there somewhere. Do you know, are you aware of who those kids are and that girl, and like how they specifically relate to Londo and the palace and why they're there in the palace and all that sort of stuff?
I heard this as well. Yeah.
So, we'll just say it because it is what it is. Apparently there's a thing in Minbari society that like you take people on and you care for them, I guess, even after you kill them. So they were from the house of Rifa.
Yep.
And Londo was taking care of them for, everything that happened with Rifa.
Well, and what's cooler than that, so we have some incredible people in our community who have shared some books and some comic books and some different things with us. I started reading Legions of Fire, the Centauri trilogy. I was told it's okay to start reading that at the point we're in. The girl that was there, I believe her name is Senna, and Senna is Rifa's daughter. Those kids are hers. And he... after the bombing of Centauri Prime, in the fall of Centauri Prime, she basically threw a rock at him, was like, you suck. And then he killed her with kindness and brought her under his care. And so this shows that she stuck around the whole time, which is which is pretty. So basically he's emperor living with the House of Rifa. Pretty huge.
Actually, how many are we up to, right, Jeff? 2?
We got one. We have one more.
It feels very Klingon.
Yeah.
It feels very Klingon.
You take them on.
Well, Jeff, unless you have anything else, I think we've kind of hit that spot of the episode where, or the movie, I guess, where we really try to take this and boil this all down. And oh boy, I'm glad you're the one who has it this week, because there's some stuff in there. This is where we do the analyzing thing. We look for the sci-fi messages that are contained within this episode, particularly were they done on purpose? Those things, and we've really come to say this on our Stargate show, Jeff, the things that give us hope that things can be better in the future. They hold up a mirror to society or just show us how to be better human beings to one another through the sci-fi story. Jeff, you get to do this, and then you're going to take this and rate this on a scale of 0 to 5 white stars as far as how strong that message is. What do you got for us this week, man?
I have a couple of things.
This was a movie. This was just a movie. Like, it wasn't. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and to be really clear, it was a movie with an intention of introducing people new to the series, Like this, I don't think this was a thing of like so many episodes of Babylon 5 where JMS was like, I'm going to drive a point home.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the intent of this film. And that's fine. There was still quite a bit that came out of it. One that I really thought on quite a bit, and I don't know that it is the like message in this one, but there was this theme throughout the Londo part of the story, the modern day Londo, that he had basically barred and shut all the windows in the palace because he couldn't handle seeing the destruction. He said that seeing his Centauri Prime, seeing his homeland burn would crush him. But what's fascinating is he also said that he spends all of his time staring out the one window that's open. So it's that piece of the literal worst thing I could ever see. It's so bad I have closed off every opportunity to ever see it, and I never stop looking at it. Because you have to look at those hard things and the hurtful things. That's how you heal. Right? There's that epic line from Neverending Story. It has to hurt if it's to heal. And it works for stuff like that too. I thought it was just fascinating. And it took the voice of a child, we'll say the voice of innocence, to kind of open him up to that, you know? And I think the fact he ended up being open to it, he was reflecting on it the whole time. So I thought that was a really fascinating message. And I do think there was some intention to that one because it was such a theme throughout those Londo and the kids scenes. As a note, we got some of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That was the battle of the line piece. And it was such a desperate needs of the many. A couple hundred of us might escape so that we don't go extinct. And that's what led to the battle of the line. Always have to call that message out. But I think the real message in this, the way I saw it, was the price of arrogance, hubris, and bravado. We see General Lefcourt and his aide in that room with Londo, and then later on, I forget his name, but I call him the Full Metal Jacket guy, because Earth military went full Metal Jacket here.
Yeah.
But they were just like, hey, so we helped beat the Dilgar, so we can, like, we're untouchable. We're hardcore, and we're going to go. We'll get, just like to steal a line from Spock, just that cowboy diplomacy, but ramped up 10 times. And that bravado, that inability to pause, right? We saw it with David McIntyre's group, on the Prometheus, of, just like, I know I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to just see him and leave, but I'm not gonna, cause dang it, I'm Earth Force, and Earth Force can do things. I almost expect him to put on a cowboy hat, at some point. Not there's anything wrong.
Shout
with
America.
Hats. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, woo, almost a Dr. Strangelove thing as he comes down on the bomb.
Right.
But I mean, that blindness, the inability to listen and to listen to those who came before you. Londo is in one of his most reasonable times in the whole series, like, bro, do not just stay away from them. There's nothing good that can. I'll show you what nothing good come from what. And dude even sounded like that when he was talking. You know, I mean, they didn't make light of this at all. But that inability to listen, the blindness, the bravado, that just arrogance, got them to the point that the president had to weigh the needs of the many against the way of the few, against the needs of the few, and those many again just being a couple hundred. They were a breath away from total extinction because they thought their stuff didn't stink. It was mind-blowing to me. I think that...
Sorry, I'm going to stop you there. There's a really neat thing where Londo's talking about the arrogance and the hubris of the humans right at the very beginning of the film. And he says this line. He says, arrogant men never listen. I mean, boy, talk about holding up a mirror to society. Arrogant men never listen. And he says, but it has never been exclusively a human trait. And in that moment, the scene cuts and flashes to the Minbari.
Yeah, immediately.
I was like, dude.
And didn't we talk about that so much? Like in the first couple seasons, the Minbari are like this high and mighty, wise race. And as the series went on, you're like, oh man, they're messed up.
They're actually awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
horrible.
They are so, everything they say that they are is not actually what they are. They've deluded themselves so bad.
In fact, like they and the humans in this film are like more diplomatic, more play at the same table than, to reference our other show, Stargate SG-1 for the first time, which is still not a Star Trek podcast, but they're the Goa'uld.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's my weakness? Arrogance. Just these guys actually talk to other people and like try to, form some alliances and do some stuff. Now, I think there was some intention to the message around the window. I think there was intention behind the arrogance of humanity, but I also think that this was a film focused on inviting people to watch the show. Scale of 0 to 5 white stars per. I'm going to give this
stop.
Give this one as many as I think after you stump for a few more.
Okay. You have white stars. You get to make the final decision. I cannot influence that in one way or another, but I'm going to make my best attempt to influence that. I found in this film, watching it for the second time, an underlying theme throughout the whole film that I don't think was the message or anything of that. But I think if you were to ever come back and do like a case study of these different things that happen that are all around this kind of central theme. And I wonder if this might not impact your white star rating.
Okay.
Because I found it really fascinating the more I thought about it. It was this underlying theme of misplaced guilt. Whether that was internal or external, there were a lot of people throughout the course of this film that were carrying a lot of guilt that they didn't need to carry. All right. Londo's carrying a whole lot of guilt over the Earth Minbari War. This was my fault. I'm the one who kept it going. Yeah, he had that whole thing where he did that thing. This was not his fault, though.
No.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Like, all of it. No, it's really not. He is holding on to that in a way that really he ought not. Delenn is feeling guilt over the war. And this really, I think a lot of this is really colored for me from the episode Atonement, probably more so than what I know in this episode, but I see how those two things fit together. And to me, that's one story. So, but Delenn is feeling a lot of guilt for her part in this war of she was the deciding vote. She was the deciding factor. She, in a moment of emotional, and I, side note, a lot of the people that gave you grief over talking about Delenn and how she was acting emotionally, their defense was, well, she had just became human like a year or two ago, and she's still learning how all these emotions work. Let's reference Atonement when she's actually still full Minbari. She has emotions, and she goes wild off. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, just throwing a defense out for my guy over there.
Good point.
Thank you. Ivanova feels a guilt and a weight over Ghana that she had absolutely nothing to do with. and she feels this need to go out and drive to not avenge, but to make that better, because she's feeling something there that she ought not be carrying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's put on her by her dad. I don't know. And finally, Franklin. And this is the one that I think that really made it all come together for me. Franklin, and we haven't really even talked about him at all in this episode. He's got all these notes on the Minbari, and he's refusing to give it over because they're going to use it to genocide these folks.
Mm-hmm.
And the general guy comes in, and he's like, if you don't give me those notes, every drop of blood that's spilled is on your hands, and you're responsible for it, and it's on you, and this is your fault, and you're going to jail, and you're an awful... That's not on Franklin.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Again, doing a case study of each of these pieces, I think would be a fascinating project to go through and do. But I did see this, just a lot of this again and again and again throughout the course of the film, about misplaced guilt and why and how dangerous it is when you carry misplaced guilt.
Yeah.
To reference what you said earlier, what's the difference between Londo and Delenn? When they figured out that actually I can do something about this. Now Delenn had her part in the whole Minbari War. Londo had his part, but it's not his fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not her fault. So now what do you do with that? Well, that's maybe for another discussion, but Jeff, I just want to slide that in there for you as you think about how many white stars you're going to rate this film.
I think it's a really good point. And I think to the point of Delenn specifically, yes, she should be carrying some guilt, but I talked about it even when we talked on the episode Atonement.
Mm-hmm.
That whole idea of you were the deciding vote, so it's your fault. That's BS.
Mm-hmm.
The other people voted that way also. Had you voted earlier, they would have been the outcome is the same. It doesn't rest on you. Everything you said really makes me look at the idea of Londo looking out the window again. Because Londo's carrying that weight. I mean, he straight up accuses Sheridan in War Without End. You forgot about us. You left us here, and this happened. But he's staring out at that all the time because he's probably carrying that guilt because he's doing the Drock's will, essentially, and so he's carrying a lot of guilt. And in a real way, you could say, as much as Babylon 5 is the story of Londo Mollari, it is also the story of misplaced guilt. And how Londo specifically responds to it time and time again. No, it's really good. That's a good point. And I'm going to bump up my rating actually as a result, because I think it strengthens so many of the thoughts I had and adds to it. It'd be
5 white stars.
More.
There you go. You heard it, folks. 5 white stars for this though. No. Okay.
No, I'm going to give it 3.5. 3.5 white stars.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, what did you have it at before?
I was going to say 2.5, maybe 3 is where I was before. So I think it's a solid 3.5.
Yeah.
I think to really get the messages out of this one, we got to do some digging, and that's a thing that we've over time learned to do a little differently.
There's only so much that you can do on a first watch.
Exactly.
Well,
Brent, I got to rate this episode. You have the overwhelming and difficult task of ranking this movie. We're going to rank these movies as we watch them. Brent, where in the definitive, immutable, completely objectively accurate ranking of the Babylon 5 films do you put in the beginning?
Well, I got to think about this because this doesn't fall into the season. This is like, we're going to treat the films as like their own little season. We're going to rank the films. Well, I think I have to put this at the beginning of or I got to put this where all the, no. Because we actually have 2 movies under our belt now.
We do, don't we?
Yes. And The Gathering by default is the #1 movie.
That's our
so
listing
far.
As it is right now. There you go. Good point.
And this is going to take that spot hands down. No questions asked. This is our new #1, Jeff.
I can't disagree. In fact, I almost think we need to Avalon. What was it? Long Dark. We need to Long Dark.
Long Dark it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
although
man.
I do have to say I enjoyed watching Avalon every week just fall another slot as the season went on. Like that last 10 episodes of the season or whatever it was.
Oh man. It's like you're just poking them. You're just like poking everybody. It's like so much fun. Well, Brent, that does it for In the Beginning. Next week, we're going to be watching Third Space for the first time.
Oh my.
We've never seen these movies before. We might know their names, but we haven't looked up any synopses. We don't look at thumbnails. Brent, do you have a prediction on what you think Third Space is going to be about?
In the beginning, just really felt like a gimme. Felt like a giveaway for what it would be. I have no idea what this could be about.
I know.
Like none. Third Space. Yeah, okay. So there's normal space, there's hyperspace, and then there's third space. We're going to find out that there's this whole other realm, universe, whatever. Maybe that's where the rim, Beyond the Rim is. We're going to dive into whatever Beyond the Rim is in that the third space. There's regular space, hyperspace, and then a third space. And that's where we're going to visit Sinclair. No, maybe. Yeah. No, well, see, because it's not Michael Hare. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Okay. Maybe they're trying to go get the first ones back. We got to go find them.
Yeah, maybe it's a deep dive into
Technomages.
Let's this because I had almost the exact same. I'm just like normal space, hyperspace, third space.
Right.
I don't know what else you could do. But how about you take Technomages?
Okay.
Or I'll take one of us take Technomages, one of us take Beyond the Rim.
I'm going to take Beyond the Rim, you take Technomages. Although
okay,
I love Technomages. I really do.
This will become a strong number one if it has Technomages in it. Just
absolutely
heads up.
will. Do you remember how much we didn't like that episode though?
I know. But we always loved, was it Elron or Elric?
Yeah.
Elric. We always loved him. Michael Ansara.
Yep.
Well, we will find out next week what Third Space is all about. Thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you are watching us or listening to us. If you're able to, leave us a rating, leave us a review. And the most important thing, the thing that we would appreciate more than anything else is please share this show with someone who either loves Babylon 5 already or needs to get into it for the first time. So until next time.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, Brent. What's up?
Jeff, I would love to take a walk with you.
A walk? What?
Yeah, on a beach, just for 5 minutes.
Oh, seriously, man? Get the hell out of here.
Initiating getting the hell out of here maneuver.
Yeah, I'm not doing new outros for everything also.
Those ending jokes are so dumb, man.
I know.
They were the dumbest part of the whole show.
They used to be. I mean, up until right around the very end of it, we spent more time on those stupid ending jokes than any other part of this show.
Although I will say the best ending we've ever done was what we did at the end of the was it the season 5 wrap up?
Yeah, 100%. That was incredible.
That was so good. That was so good. Oh, Jeff. You know what? This one has been such a long time coming.
Yeah.
And now that we're through it and we've really picked apart this film in different ways. This one was tough.
Mm-hmm.
So Club 65, welcome to Club 65. Look,
hey,
this is going to be a short one today, guys. Sorry, but it is. But let's peel this back. You and I were talking a little bit before the show, how difficult this one felt like it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because it was hard to where do we go? How does this work?
Before we hit go, it was
different.
Mm-hmm. The pace is different. Everything is different.
How do we even begin to discuss this movie? Where does that go? And I think, I just will confess, and I was feeling this while we were in the middle of it. The first part of the episode felt like we were just sort of wandering around trying to figure it out. And then we sort of landed on it and we okay, this is the rut to get into.
Yeah. Well, you gave us kind of a format, a structure to work with. I think that helped a lot, but it was kind of a thing.
But yeah, it was all me.
You did. That's never going to take anything away from you. But it was very much like, I was almost more interested in talking about the things about the movie.
Yeah.
Because the things in the movie, it's like, we know.
We know, yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I will say there is one thing, and then we'll get out of here. Club 65, thank you so much. Don't forget, drop 65 down in the comments. Let us know you were here. And remember, the first rule of Club 65 is we don't talk about Club 65. People either know it or they don't know. I will just say one thing that we did learn from this movie that we never knew before. Everything, and Jeff, I mean everything, was Byron's fault.